The film begins with Jerry Mitchell, a high schooler, being yanked out of bed by his little sis, Bray. At that time, he was overslept. Then, in a mad dash, Jerry grabbed his fave shirt from the washer, even tossing it in the microwave because it was still damp. Once dressed, he and Bry zoomed off to school in their mom's car. On the way, Jerry swung by to pick up his new girlfriend, Franny Perrins. As they were driving and chatting, he got a bit distracted. He spotted Karen Clark, a stunning girl in the car next to them, and couldn't take his eyes off her. So much so that he missed a red light and nearly crashed into another car. Thankfully, everyone was okay. And while Franny was a tad miffed that her boyfriend was checking out another girl, she was secretly impressed by Jerry's quick reflexes on the road. At school, there was major buzz about this new kid, Buddy Revell. He had a rep for being a big-time troublemaker with mad fighting skills. No one had ever beaten him in a fight, and everyone was kind of freaked out by him. At that time, Jerry and Bry couldn't help but sneak a peek out the window when they heard Buddy had just rocked up. The whole school went quiet when they saw him, cause, well, he was super intimidating. Later, Jerry was helping out his teacher, Mr. Rice, with the school store. He was proud to tell Mr. Rice they'd made a cool $470 in just a week, knowing that Mr. Rice was super pleased. But then things got a tad awkward for Jerry. Karen, the girl he had a crush on, popped in to buy some stuff. At that moment, Jerry wanted to chat her up a bit, but when he tried to give her change, the cash drawer jammed. Yikes. Poor guy was so embarrassed, and Karen just took off without her change. Now, as school went on, Jerry ran into his best buddy, Vincent Costello. Vincent was the big shot editor of the school magazine and had a crazy idea. He wanted Jerry to help interview Buddy and get the scoop on his wild past. But turns out, before that could happen, one of their teachers, Miss Mary, put Jerry on the spot. She asked him to officially welcome Buddy to their school. Hearing that, Jerry freaked out big time and dashed off to the bathroom to chill for a bit. Soon after, Jerry's day just kept getting wilder. While he was in the restroom trying to cool down, guess who he bumped into? Yep, Buddy. There, Jerry decided to introduce himself. He even mentioned that he wanted to write a story about Buddy's past. But when Jerry tried to be friendly and patted Buddy on the arm, things went south. Fast. At that time, Buddy didn't take too kindly to this. He grabbed Jerry, shoved him up against a mirror, and made it clear that he wasn't up for an interview. Then he laid down a challenge to have a fight at 3 p.m. in the parking lot. And if Jerry even thought about telling a teacher or running off, Buddy said he'd make things even worse for him. Hearing that, the poor Jerry was freaked out. He stumbled back to class, looking all shaken up. At that time, Vincent and Franny could tell something was up. When they asked, Jerry spilled the beans about the whole fight challenge. Wanting to avoid a showdown, Jerry found Buddy at his locker and tried to back out. He told Buddy he wouldn't write about him or even come near him again. But Buddy, he didn't budge. He still wanted that 3 p.m. face-off. Soon after, the word spread like wildfire. All the students in the hallways were buzzing about how the new kid, Buddy, had challenged Jerry to a fight on his very first day. After hearing about the news, Vincent wanted to protect Jerry from Buddy. So he got this idea to plant a small knife in Buddy's locker, hoping the school would find it and kick Buddy out. Jerry, however, thought it was a bad idea. He worried that if Buddy found out, he'd be even angrier. So they tried to remove the knife. But bad luck. Buddy's locker was jammed, and the bell rang. They had to rush away so no one would see them there. In that moment, Jerry got so scared that he tried to leave school. When he jumped into his car, he was in for a shock. The same knife was stuck in his steering wheel with a note. The note made it clear that Buddy knew what they'd done. And to make matters worse, Jerry's car wouldn't start because Buddy had messed with the engine. Feeling trapped, Jerry decided to just run away on foot. But as he was making his move, the school security guard, Duke Herman, spotted him. There, Jerry tried to make up an excuse, saying he needed a mechanic for his car. But Duke wasn't buying it and wanted to take him back to his teacher. Jerry, in full panic mode, ran off with Duke hot on his heels. When Duke caught Jerry, he found a knife in Jerry's pocket. Jerry tried to explain, showing a note from Buddy as proof that the knife wasn't his. But Duke wasn't convinced. He tossed the note and took Jerry straight to the school's discipline boss, Wojtek Dolinsky. In Wojtek's office, Duke handed over the knife, saying Jerry broke the rules. Jerry, trying his best to explain, said the knife was actually Vincent's idea to get Buddy in trouble. But things took a twist when Buddy stuck that knife in Jerry's car with a note challenging him to a fight at 3 p.m. Hearing that, Wojtek just shook his head, not believing a word Jerry said. When Jerry left the office, he ran into his buddy, Mark Bojikis. Mark's a tall guy, and he told Jerry to just hold on for 3 minutes during the fight with Buddy because he and his pals had placed bets on it. This got Jerry pretty upset. He was about to lash out at Mark when Vincent stepped in, calming Jerry down and asking him to just walk away. On their way to their next class, Jerry shared a plan with Vincent. He wanted to get Craig, the toughest kid in school, on his side. He needed Vincent to distract everyone by ringing a fake bell. This would give Jerry the chance to meet Craig in the field without Buddy noticing. At that time, Vincent pulled off the plan perfectly. He sneaked out and rang the bell, then joined Jerry in the field to find Craig. There, Jerry quickly found Craig and asked for his help to scare off Buddy. Craig's only condition was a hefty payment of $450. That was a ton of money, and Jerry was broke. But desperate to avoid his fight with Buddy, Jerry took a big risk. He broke into the school shop and grabbed some cash from the register. With the stolen cash in hand, Jerry paid Craig off. But just as things seemed to be going according to plan, Wojtek announced that the earlier bell was fake and everyone needed to head back to class. Then, after Jerry got back to class, Rice let everyone know that someone had taken money from the school store. Rice was really angry about it and said he'd kick out whoever did it. Hearing that, Jerry tried to play it cool, making it seem like he was on Rice's side. At lunch, Jerry and Vincent spied on Craig talking to Buddy in the warehouse. They hoped Craig would warn Buddy off, but instead, Buddy got super mad, hurt Craig's hand, and gave him a good beating. Watching the school tough guy get taken down by Buddy freaked Jerry out big time. He rushed to the restroom to breathe and think. Soon after, Vincent and Bry found him. They told Jerry that Craig gave back the money since he didn't keep his end of the deal. At that moment, Jerry was overwhelmed and didn't want the cash. This ticked off Vincent, who just dumped the money at Jerry's feet before storming off. Bry then came up with a plan that Jerry should act out in class, get in trouble, and maybe be sent home early. That way, he could avoid Buddy's fight challenge. Jerry thought that might work, so he headed back to class, ready to stir things up. When class started, Miss Farmer asked students to discuss the lesson they just read. Jerry had a plan to get in trouble and hopefully be sent home early, so he boldly walked up and started explaining the lesson while puffing on a cigarette. He even tried to flirt with Miss Farmer, but the shock of what he just did hit him, and he fainted. Later, Jerry woke up in the school's maintenance room. He asked Nurse Palmer if he was in trouble because of his antics. To his surprise, there was no punishment. Instead, Miss Farmer praised him for explaining the lesson well and even gave him her phone number, inviting him over that night. Jerry was a mix of emotions between happy about impressing his teacher, but bummed that his plan to escape Buddy's challenge failed. Feeling a bit better, Jerry headed back to class. On his way, he met Karen, who had a crush on him. There, she invited him to her birthday party the next night, and Jerry happily accepted. But then, Franny came up to him, annoyed because she heard about Jerry's flirtatious act with Miss Farmer. She wanted Jerry to remember she had her eyes on him, so she dragged him to the school shop for a chat. There, Jerry finally came clean to Franny that he wasn't really into her, even though they were dating. He told her she was just someone he hung out with when he felt lonely. Sadly, this broke Franny's heart, and she left the room upset. Soon after, things got more complicated when Rice showed up at the school shop with Detective Mulvihill. They were looking into the missing money situation. At that time, Mulvihill eyed Jerry, hinting that he thought the thief might be a student who Rice trusted with the shop. Knowing that, Jerry freaked out a bit, sensing the detective was onto him, and quickly tried to exit. Later, during a math test, Buddy, who sat next to Jerry, whispered asking for answers. In that moment, Jerry didn't want more trouble with Buddy, so he reluctantly shared, but their sneaky exchange got caught by the test watcher, Mr. Medved, and they both got sent to Mr. O'Rourke's office. Jerry, feeling cornered by Buddy, decided to take the blame for cheating. He said he copied from Buddy. But O'Rourke tested Buddy with a math question, and surprise, surprise, he got it right. Jerry realized Buddy was playing a game, making him look bad at school. After Buddy left, O'Rourke had a stern chat with Jerry. He said he was disappointed in him, especially with rumors about the stolen money and the knife. At that time, Jerry couldn't defend himself because he'd already admitted to the cheating bit. O'Rourke said he'd be keeping a close eye on Jerry from now on. Outside the room, Jerry tried to settle things with Buddy. He even offered money to call off their planned fight. Buddy took the cash, but called Jerry a scaredy cat. Feeling down, Jerry went up to the school roof to think, but after some time, he psyched himself up to face Buddy. Jerry packed his stuff and left the classroom, ignoring Mr. Medved's lesson. Soon after, he dumped his books in his locker and headed to the parking lot, where a big crowd and Buddy were waiting. But as the fight was about to start, O'Rourke tried to stop it by grabbing Buddy's arm. Buddy wasn't having it. He punched O'Rourke, knocking him out cold. After seeing Buddy rough up a teacher, Jerry was scared. But when Buddy pushed Franny, Jerry found his courage and stood up to him. Unfortunately, Buddy easily tossed him onto a car. Just then, Wojtek and the security guy Duke showed up to stop the fight. Duke even tried to take on Buddy, but Buddy knocked him out with one punch. Seeing this, Wojtek chickened out and ran away. But Jerry wasn't done. He got back up and managed to punch Buddy in the nose, drawing blood. However, Buddy retaliated, knocking Jerry down again. As Buddy was about to use some brass knuckles on Jerry, Vincent swooped in and knocked them out of Buddy's hand. Bray was quick to grab Buddy's dropped gun and handed it to Jerry. After Buddy knocked Vincent down, Jerry went at him again, using the brass knuckles this time. And guess what? Jerry finally got the upper hand and took Buddy down. Seeing that, Franny and the other students were super impressed by Jerry's bravery. Shortly after the fight, Detective Mulvihill showed up to arrest Buddy, but Buddy had already split. Detective Mulvihill then turned to Jerry because of the school shop money theft. Just as things looked bad for Jerry, O'Rourke stepped in, asking the detective to cut him some slack after such a rough day. In the end, Jerry's friends were all high fives and praises for him. They even chipped in to help him pay back the money he took from the shop. To his surprise, Buddy came back and returned the money Jerry had given him earlier. And there, Buddy even cracked a little smile at Jerry. Then Karen reminded Jerry about her party that night, hinting she expected a romantic confession from him. And while Jerry was clearly thrilled, it hurt Franny, who was watching nearby. Miss Farmer also seemed to have a soft spot for Jerry, which left everyone's jaws on the floor. But in the end, Jerry only had eyes for Karen. The film ends. The moral lesson from this film is if you're going to steal money to pay off a bully, make sure to microwave your damp shirt first, because you need to look good in a fight.